So how you doing, folks? Today is Thursday, the 30th of July 2020. It is a glorious and hot day today in Finsbury Park, London, England. Time now is about 3 p.m. in the evening, and it's the mid-afternoon sun, and it's about 25 degrees. As you see, I'm sweating, and I got a drink, kind of keep me cool. It's a beautiful day. We get very few days like this. Watching out for the ants and the insects there. We get very few days like this. The scenery here is the park, part of the lake. There's a boating lake. People actually they row on the lake. There's boats for hire, and they row on the lake. So today, Thursday, the 30th of July. I hope the date is correct. If not, double check. So we're into the fourth week of the 75% of the lockdown easing, and the whole theme is to get people to go back to work and get the economy going. But over the weekend, we've had people traveling from holiday from Spain. They have to go into lockdown. Got insects all over the place. Yeah, I've got to not lean on this fence. Yeah. So people traveling from holiday from Spain, they have to go into lockdown, and the people are very, very annoyed about that. But in one sense, there's a pandemic and there's the virus raging around the world, all different places at different times, and people are deciding to go on holiday. Why would you want to do that, you know?
But to be fair, if there is just manor out closed.
You think the virus doesn't affect you because you've got special privileges? Let me just turn this bit this way so I'm more. So you think the virus doesn't affect you? You've got special privileges, so you could go anywhere in the world and it doesn't affect you? And some people have got that kind of attitude, you know. The enforcement at the moment in this country is that you have to wear face covering, mask, when you go on any public transport, trains, buses, overground train. Now I don't know what happens in the plane. Does everybody wear the mask when you're sitting on the plane? You know, but and if you go to shopping mall or a shop, the government have given people the right to refuse to serve you if you're not wearing a mask, or if you come into the shop and you're not wearing a mask, the government have given you the right to refuse entry to that person. But so far I haven't really seen it being enforced so much, because I think the shop owners, the trade that they have is limited because of the spacing. You know, you keep your distance. Why would you want to lose another customer, you know? And most of the businesses that I know are actually not making enough to pay the bills for that day. So why would you send people away, you know? But there are some people out there who are standing in the queue, and they are they're standing in a queue, and if you haven't got a mask on, or if you're not keeping your distance, they will come up to you and tell you keep your distance, and will tell you keep your mask on. And there are people in isolation who's been in isolation for like months now, you know, especially some of the older people and the people who are vulnerable. You know, they haven't been told that they can come out, you know, but they are still in isolation. They're still staying away from people. They still can't have friends and family come visit them. But yes, it's changed, but a limited amount of friends and family can come and visit them. But some of them are still sticking to some stringent rules that, you know, anybody who is working in where there's lots of people, so if there's a member of family working with lots of people, or even working in hospital, then they wouldn't have those people come and visit them because of fear they might pick it up from somebody and bring it to them. So it's the tales of two worlds. You know, some people who it's like there's no lockdown, and you know they're continuing a kind of normal life, and whereas other people who are just under lockdown, they don't see anybody. I've heard that the parcel service, the free food service that gets delivered to vulnerable people, I've heard that is now going to be stopped. And there are things where that they took the homeless people off the street to avoid the virus. They're now being put back out on the street, and I literally seen them out on the streets. There's now, whereas they couldn't evict you from your housing or certain things, they couldn't evict you from certain things. They can now seek eviction order, and they can now evict you. So in your housing, in your business, so if you haven't paid certain bills, can't pay and we'll take it away. That is starting to happen right now, and we're going to be in the full swing of it. Meanwhile, the virus, we have been told that the virus is coming back again. There's a rise in people being infected. So that's why there's a ban on people coming from Spain to England, or if you've gone on holiday in Spain and you come back, you're going to have to be quarantined. So there's a rise in places like Germany, I think, and France, and even in England there's certain places where there are hotspots where it's rising, and there is an increase in lockdown in those places in England. So there's an increase in lockdown in those places in England where the virus is actually rising. So they're going for specific areas of lockdown. There's a more stringent aspect to this time now in the pandemic here in the UK, and it's that if you're told when you come through the airport and you're supposed to be on lockdown, they could randomly check whether you're staying at your lockdown place, and they will fine you. And I hear it's something like £1,000. And if you continue flouting the lockdown, then it would increase. So there's a more serious aspect. I think it comes under the Contagious Diseases 2020 Act, and they've got all the powers that has been passed. The House of Commons and the House of Lords have passed it through, but no one's actually looked at it in details. but there's enough law in there that can be enforced, which is very, very serious indeed. You know, so that's one aspect of the pandemic. On the economic front now, they're talking about a K recovery. It's not a recovery. K is not a recovery. So the K goes like that and it goes like that. What that is that the people who are on the bottom are going to go continually down. The people who are on the top is going to go continually up. During the pandemic, the large earners, because they went out spending, their quids in. The people who live on the breadline, who work day to day to pay the bills, just to go back to work to pay the bills, they've stopped working, so their bills have continued to rise. All right, and some of the jobs would not exist. In fact, they're sacking a few people. The biggest news at the moment is the holiday people are now shutting down some of their shops. The airline holiday people shutting down some of their high street outlet, and you're going to be able to book online. So this K, it's not a recovery, and it's not going forward. So the dip for those who have already in problems. So if you're on the lower end of the social economic, it will actually get worse. The bailiffs are coming because you haven't been paying the rent, you haven't been paying the utilities. They're going to cut you off. The people at the top who still getting 80% of their money because the government have subsidized the company that employs them. You know, but something serious that's happening with the businesses. A lot of businesses haven't opened because it's uneconomical to open, because they have to pay staff and they would never make the money just to meet the bills, because they could only handle about half the capacity of their normal business because of distancing and a limited amount of people to be in your shop or in your business at any one time. So for some people, they haven't opened up. Give it 3 or 4 months, we'll be into Christmas, they'll have to shut down because they're accumulating a bill for premises and there's no money coming in, so they might as well chuck the towel in. So come January, it's going to be apocalyptic, right? Because businesses can't make the money, figure out that they can't even make the money to pay off what they actually owe for last year because they had to stop their business, but the basic charges are still there. The rent, the rates, utilities, gas, electricity, you know, they're standing charges, and those standing charges get you. It's not necessarily the usage. So that's the business. And after you've gone through Christmas, Christmas is meant to be the most profitable part of, well, for some people, Christmas is the most profitable part of the year. And usually January we see a lot of businesses chuck the towel in. Businesses like Woolworths has gone under, you know, and other big names have gone under because of the underlying business trends and finance and the way the world goes. So that's the business sector. On the social sector now, on the personal level, because of isolation, a lot of people, there's mental problems. Every now and then there's a spark up in somebody doing something to somebody, or people are just flying off the handle for the, the least the least the least thing being said to them. So if you can't come out in an open space like this and enjoy it and interact with people outside, and you live in a real built-up area, or you haven't built up your social network, or even cut connection with your family network, or there isn't any family network, then the stress of being cooped up and non-communication with other people in whatever form has its toll, because we are social animals, and even in a negative way. If you go on social media and the internet, even the people who are negative about other people are still enacting that social underlying thing about humans, right? So those negative people still need other people to interact with for them to feel good. So they're still following through. We all need that social interaction and love. Even dogs and cats need that social interaction. They say even the animals in the zoo are missing the people coming in and out. So the animals themselves are missing people. The animals themselves are missing that social interaction with people. So that's on the mental side. But so far, this is July. We're just about to go into August. Many of the subsidies that the government has given to many of the businesses and people are now coming to an end. So we're going to see that the social aspect of that being played out probably on the streets, or I don't know. We got to wait and see. After August now, August, September, it's mandated that all the kids have to go to school. If you don't send your kids to school, you're going to be fined. So that's in like 4 weeks' time. On a personal note, I had to pay my car notes, as they say in America, or one of my car bills a few days ago because of the end. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I haven't used my car for like 6-7 months. Would I be using my car for the next 6-7 months? Oh, by the way, it's looking like this pandemic is going to be there until Christmas and beyond. And what's going to make it worse is that very soon, in a month's time or so, we're going to be in the autumn season. The weather will change. It'll be raining. It will cold, and a lot of people catches the flu here in the UK and probably around the world. And if we add that to the pandemic, now they're saying this second wave isn't really the second wave, it's just the first wave, and the virus is just hanging around, waiting for people to get weak. And people will get weak in winter when the weather gets cold and they start to catch the winter flu, and the virus might get them. Also, if you're stressed out, whether the kind of life you live domestically, whether you got a lot of problems domestically, whether you got a lot of problems financially, whether you got a problem socially, you could live in an environment where you're constantly hassled because it's low cost housing, project housing estates, especially housing estates. Those are the stressful places. If there's people dealing drugs, there's gang violence going on where you're at, or you may be even in a domestic situation where you're under a lot of pressure. That adds to your immune system being low, and the virus will get you because your immune system is low, because your social situation adding pressure onto you, and that. So, but today now, not really fully catching up with the news, but the news is the second wave. We've been warned about a second wave. We've been warned that we got to keep fit. You've been given 50 pounds so you can go to the bike shop to get a bike repaired or buy a bike so that you can keep fit. so that you have a higher resistance against the virus. And they're also telling you that if you're overweight, that's also detrimental. It's detrimental to you as well, because it means that you'll have less resistance in fighting the virus, you know. So that's the end of the video today. Well, the end of this section of the video today. I'll catch you on the next one.